Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So, as you can see, I'm in the hot seat, so we're going to discuss something today. So, I've been mulling over making this video for a few months now. I made a Facebook post not long after Queen Elizabeth died, discussing some of what I'm about to discuss today. And I've seen a few other people just today in the last couple of days actually made a video on it, and I thought it was quite appropriate for me to make this video today. So I'm trying not to cover what they've said, but to just actually go through my own emotions and my own thought process of how I was going to present this video anyway. So I've had to cut some chunks of what I was going to present. Forgive me if I read it, because I've had to readdress what I was going to talk about today. So the discussion is the One World Government and the Agenda 30. So those that think this is conspiracy or too deep or off on a tangent and something that doesn't relate to you, that's fine. If you don't wish to watch the video, that's okay. But this is quite apparent and it's not going to go away. And the incidents that are happening worldwide at the moment, you know, Agenda 30 is a real thing. One World Government is actually a serious plan that people like the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization, Bill Gates, and all these other corporate entities have been heading towards for quite a while now. So this isn't so much a conspiracy theory that people like myself have been accused of and been called for many, many years. This is actual fact, and where our political and corporate entities are heading and have been heading for quite a while. So let me begin anyway. Basically, we discuss these issues on our Saturday Night Lives that we do. We discuss this and many other issues. Sometimes we discuss things in the news that are relevant during our weekly videos, and it's more of an open forum on a Saturday evening, and we willingly answer questions that people in the comments and the community wish to discuss, and we bring several up ourselves to discuss within the community. The lives are fabulous, and there's many like-minded people that we have a good discussion with. We really enjoy the Saturday Night Lives, and if you haven't caught one yet, we will be going live tomorrow evening, so you're more than welcome to join us. We've talked about things like digital identity and the lack of any privacy that we will have in the future, and how our information has already been data mined, and everything will be available to any corporate industry that needs to have information on us. They'll have a full background, photographs, height, weight, descriptions, political, financial, medical, any information that they've criminal, any information that they feel might be relevant and can pull up, whether it be your banking, whether it be signing your child up to a new school. Any industry of authority will be able to have your identity information. We've discussed that several times. We've discussed human chipping, which already exists. There are shops that you can actually go in and purchase things through a chip actually placed in your hand. So basically they're called subdermal chip. So subdermal is just underneath the skin, and it will be between your forefinger and your thumb on your right hand. And you can literally tap that to something, or just literally walk through the shop, and any item you pick up is paid for by the chip in your hand. That will hold your financial details, it will hold your medical details, and who knows what data mining information will be held on that chip in the future. everything that needs to know about you. And as you pass all these different things that are collecting and reading your information throughout, where you're passing through the street, through a building, through a shop, wherever you are, this information will be clicking. Already your phone does it, so they can tell where you are from your phone because you've passed a certain phone mast. If your phone's switched on, it'll be even easier to do this with your subdermal chip. So lots of these things are going on. Forgive me if I jump, because I've just tried to make notes of the specific things that I wanted to talk about. So we're being told that there's food shortages due to wars and politics, and many of us know this is all just part of the agenda that is leading to us being part of this one world order and causing complications. We don't believe what's happening at the moment, why we can't have tomatoes because there hasn't been good weather in Spain, because obviously people in France are getting Spanish tomatoes, people in Europe are actually getting Spanish tomatoes, and the vegetables that we're now being told we have to have restrictions on. We've already discussed in the last video the lack of animals and crops in the local farmland, just to me, but we're finding that further and further afield, and people are saying that in different countries as well, not just here in the UK. The big thing this year was the egg shortages and the diseases within the chickens, and therefore causing the egg shortages and the hiking egg prices, and so many different issues, you know, and a lot of us just don't believe it, you know. In America, they've been finding, some have been saying possibly the chicken feed was some way changed or adapted, and therefore they felt their chickens were not laying eggs or producing eggs. And the issue seemed to be in the lack of protein within the chicken feed, and it's a 50-50 argument, this one, at the minute. A lot of people are blaming the chicken feed. Some people are quite happy with the chicken feed because they give them extra food scraps and they give them protein in other ways, so their chickens are still laying eggs. But those that are heavily dependent upon a certain brand of food there are saying that's hindered their chickens from laying eggs. And this is all in the food chain, you know. Let me just continue because I cover this in another section. We've been discussing how food stores and farmland has been burnt down, and food industry is burnt down, and yet in the background we're being flooded in the food shops with plant-based food, not animal food, plant-based food, vegan food, etc. Or as I will call them, food products, because I don't feel they are actually food. I will call them food products. If you like these plant-based foods, that's fair enough, that's your opinion, and if you enjoy them, that's great. For me personally, I did initially try a couple of the food products. To me, it doesn't taste like real food. It's quite cardboardy, it's quite not real food. And we're being offered food that's basically grown in a lab, such as in vitro meat. So lab-based grown meat that's never been part of a living organism. Some people are choosing to call these cancer burgers and giving them, you know, different names. I wouldn't even say that was plant-based food. That's just a scientific concoction. That's lab-based meat, in vitro meat. It's just crazy. At the same time, we've got these GMO seeds for fruits and for vegetables. It's so bizarre how all our natural food are now becoming food products rather than actual real food. And it's a scary thing, you know. So if we're having these injections and we're having these chips in our bodies and we're having these adaptations to become somewhat android, if we want to call it that, if we want to say our DNA is being adapted, so therefore if we become half human, half android, it sounds so bizarre, but if we're going to have these adaptations to our human body, being chipped, being injected, being whatever it is that they're going to choose to say put in our human body, are we actually going to need human food in the future? You know, there's what's that film, Mr. Wallflowers?
Back to the Future.
No, the food that was made out of the humans. It'll come back to me in a minute. Oh, Soylent Green. So, you know, basically we're fed information through these films. I can't remember what year Soylent Green was made, but it's a long time ago.
60.
Possibly the 60s. We're in 2023 now, so it's 60 odd years ago. And it was set in 2023. And Soylent Green was a food product made out of human flesh that humans ate and they didn't know, and that was their food source, that was their food product. There's been many rumours. Some people believe that places such as McDonald's and other places actually used human human flesh as food sources. With things like Soylent Green being based in 2023, and people are saying this about food chains, is it such a bizarre concept for people to think that way? Is it a conspiracy? You know, when we look into the historic value, I don't know if many of you know this, but red bricks, I live in a red brick house. Red bricks were actually made red because of the blood content added to the brick. Now, do we know whether that was human blood? Do we know whether that was animal blood? Do we know where that blood comes from? No. It's a historical fact that red bricks originally were made red because of blood content within the brick formation when they made them. So bizarre. I live in a house of bricks that has a high blood content. Bizarre. Do we know of these chains? You know, we've seen documentaries and we've heard about this cannibalism factor within different concepts of people drinking human blood and drinking things. Do we know if this is actually happening now? Do we know if we're consenting to it and aware of it, like in the film Soylent Green? If you haven't seen Soylent Green, I really recommend you watch it. There is a book. Either watch the film or read the book. Absolutely fabulous content. Well, it's a classic. It's well worth a watch. But these kind of contexts now are in the air and people are discussing them, and I think it's quite relevant how bizarre the world is at this stage we're living in. I went off on a tangent then, but I'll come back.
And they tell us through the film.
They tell us through the film is this information, you're correct, you know, and
They Live
and different movies like that. But when these things are happening in the planning stages, these people are drip feeding us, telling us about the New World Order, the One World Government. And, you know, if we look back, we hear these words repeated over and over and over again, but they didn't actually mean anything to us till the last 10, 15 years, and people are trying to piece it all together, you know, but it's in our face now, it's in our lifetime, and these are the things we're having to live with. So as I say, we've discussed the lack of animals in the farmers' fields, etc. the plant-based food. Yeah, the GMO food is being grown everywhere. Bear with me. So basically all the foods for the future, in one form or another, will be genetically modified. Whether that's the in vitro meat, whether that's the GMO seeds, whether the only available food that we will ever get is lab-based or scientifically grown.
A lot of Kellogg's cereals are GMO.
Yeah, as Mr. Wallflower, I don't know if you can hear him there. Kellogg's cereals and foods are GMO. We already know there's insect-based bread and foods available. And it's becoming food products that are available to us more and more than actual food that us and our ancestors were used to real food, you know, so the human form is completely changing. On a different aspect, if any of us here actually remember the programme Star Trek, and the people used to teleport in and out of the spaceship to go to other areas. This sounds really bizarre, but apparently all our packages that get delivered to the home, whether that be your Amazon packages, your whatever you get from the internet deliveries, whether it be your food shopping from the food supermarkets, whatever it is that you have delivered to your home, offices, buildings, etc. Apparently in the not too distant future, they won't need drivers, delivery people, they won't need drones to drop them off. Apparently it will be teleportation and appear either in your home or outside on your front door to collect to bring in. Just absolutely, you know, it sounds crazy, I know. But there's a website I'd like you to take a look at. Now, if you can either stop the video here and go and grab a pen, or if you've got a pen to hand, it's called the World Government Summit.org. Now, within that, another guy has covered this, and it's an actual fantastical, I'll call it, because it blows you away. The things and the concepts that are on there, it's like a circular map. And within that, it shows you digitalisation, it shows you the concepts of what will be available to us from now right through to 2071, 2071, that's right. And as you tick into each circle, it covers the chipping of the human body, it covers the teleportation of products to your home rather than deliveries or drones. It covers so many different aspects that will just blow you away, and it actually gives you a date when it will actually be in usage by the common man or, you know, everyday folk. I can't remember the actual date for the teleportation things. I remember watching a film, I can't remember the name of the film, and it was a futuristic scene where food products were delivered to a futuristic kitchen, and it was the teleportation of the food appeared on the plate. That kind of thing. How bizarre we might find it, how futuristic we might find it. This website is actually telling us that's going to be our reality anywhere in the next 50 years. Yeah, we mightn't use it, but if it comes before we pass, if it comes before we go, we could possibly be using that in 20 years time. I'm only in my early 50s, so, you know, who knows what these fantastical new inventions may be. Whether I approve or not's a different fact, but will that be the only availability what we have? who knows? Who knows? It sounds crazy, I know, but take a look at that website. It's called worldgovernmentsummit.org. It's so interesting. I'm sure you'll really enjoy having a good look. Even if you laugh at it, even if you think this is crazy, this won't happen, please have a look and see what you think for yourself. You'll be amazed by all the things on there, and each thing listed, such as the teleportation and that, as I say, has expected dates on for when they will be our actual reality. So let's get back to the One World Government. So 10 days ago, the World Government Summit took place in Dubai, and it was held from the 13th to the 15th of February under the slogan, Shaping Future Governments. There was world leaders in attendance, 20 heads of state, 150 government leaders, policy makers, heads of international organisations, and a section called Thought Leaders. Now, some of us have joked in the past about thought police, and we'd be arrested for our thoughts, and different ideologies about that, and who knows, but actually stated in documentation about who has actually attended this meeting is a group of people called thought leaders. So I actually googled what thought leaders is, what's the meaning of it, what is it, and Google said it's described as an individual or firm that is recognised authority in a specific field and has business jargon acumen. So I'd call them swayers. I'd call them corporate swayers. So those people, what do we call them? Thought leaders. We're actually with the heads of state. We're actually with the world leaders. We're actually there to sway them for the corporate, to sway them to the Agenda 30. They were there for a specific job. That group was there for that reason as the thought police. And as the leaders, the thought leaders, they were in charge. They were in charge to keep that on par of where that agenda is to go. They were there. And that's a legal title that is being listed. They are thought leaders. So it's here, it's reality. Thought police, thought leaders, here now is a reality. And these are the people that are shaping our world. These are the people that are looking to shape a one world government. So yeah, corporate swayers. So the proposal of that meeting was the one world government and the things they want to do before 2030. So taking all this in and thinking to myself about it, I think, all right, first let me say this. The next bits that I'm about to say are my thoughts. They're probably not already a documentation. They're not already factual. These are my thoughts. Just put that in. So in the UK, we've got King Charles III. He's our monarch. He's not yet coronated, but he's King Charles III. He's our king. And his coronation is meant to be in June of this year. And as I've stated previously, the money here that we're still using, the coins, the notes, etc., do not have Charles's head on, his face on yet. Everything still has Queen Elizabeth's face on. Except there are rumours that there was one token coin, which is meant to be a 50p piece, with Charles's head on. I haven't personally seen it, and I've only known of one person so far who has actually said to me that they've seen a coin with Charles's head on. So I don't know if it's a token, commemorative coin, a collector's piece. whether it's properly in circulation. I'm not sure of those details. I've never come across anything. I'm using cash all the time. Every coin is the Queen's head. Every note is the Queen's head. So as I say, I'm hearing rumours of one coin, but I've not witnessed it. So previously, with King Charles, he's King Charles III. So obviously we've had two previous King Charles I, King Charles II. And both of those kings were known for dissolving Parliament. Both of them did it. First King Charles I did it for 11 years. One of them did it for 11 years. I'm not sure it was the first or second. And then the second one did it. And we're talking a couple of 100 years gap between them. So they were both known. King Charles I and II were known for dissolving government. And when I read that, I found that really, really intriguing. Especially once the Queen had passed and I knew Charles was then in line for the King. Many people have queried, will he actually make it to King? Will something happen before his coronation? Will he take it and abdicate? And there's been lots of theories bandied about whether he's actually going to become king or not. And that kind of got my thought process going with the other two disbanding governments and things that are going on. So why would he be any different? Why would he any be different? His name was chosen for a purpose, knowing that he'd be first in line to the crown. So 3 years ago, Charles actually attended the World Economic meeting in Davos in Switzerland. And the imagery behind him was on a screen, like a circular crown shape. Now, it was all different colours. Some might say the LGBT colours, some might say World Economic colours. But it was like a crown shape above Charles, imagery on a screen behind him. Now, at that time, some truthers, political people were discussing what was the implications of that, because there's always something connected to the imagery and what is presented to us. So what was the implications of a crown 3 years ago over Charles's head? So when that meeting was over, Charles actually did several interviews, and one of the interviews he discussed the new reset that was coming, probably already happening at that stage. This is 3 years ago, and he said just after those meetings, the new reset would be mainly ruled by the World Economic Forum. Mainly ruled by the World Economic Forum. So I'm thinking, is Charles somehow going to hand over the monarchy, not take the monarchy, hand over the sovereignty to the World Economic Forum, or to the World Health Organization, or to a third party mix of both groups? This one world government has come in one way or the other. And we in the UK, will we actually be in a full-on dictatorship, ruled in this new reset by the World Economic Forum, the World Health Forum, basically owned by this new reset? And how quickly would it happen if this did happen? If he's due to be coronated in June, this handover would be imminent, or would he actually be coronated and then do it at a later date? The UK seems to be a testing pot for anything that happens, and then once we suck it up, buttercup, it then spreads to other countries, other nations and the spread occurs. You know, we seem to be the first that were hit with corporate adjustments, shall we call them, hike prices, now restrictions in what we can buy, but absolutely squeezing us dry on everything and rules and regulations, then levy it out and spread it to other nations. We seem to be the testing pot to see if we'll take it. As soon as we take it, then it's off. They're doing it to other countries. So how soon before other governments, if our government, if Charles disbanded the government, handed over our sovereignty to these groups or a mix of these groups, how soon would that be accepted? How soon would that be passed on to other nations? We're already hearing stories about America following suit and handing over their sovereignty to the West and the WHO. We're already hearing about other nations possibly doing this, so to enable this world with, you know, one world government. 2030 is only 7 years away. We're in 2023. 2030 is only 7 years away. If they want a one world government by 2030, 7 years isn't an awful time to cover the whole world. So if they're going to choose to start it here in the UK as a test pot, wouldn't round about now be the time to do it? Wouldn't round about this year, 2023, be the time to do it and then trot it out to all these other nations? I'm not in support of it. I'm just saying, isn't it highly suspect that these things are falling into place right now? So, as I say, we do discuss more in depth and answer questions and bring into discussion questions what other people want to talk about, and we learn an awful lot and we find them so interesting. So if you wish to join us on Saturday, this will be one of the topics we talk about. But I just find it really intriguing now. You know, 7 years isn't far away, and if they're going to pursue it and use us as a testing pot, are we going to be the first country that hands our sovereignty over to these groups? Don't know, it's crazy. Just my thoughts today anyway. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.